Hello, you are listening to the All Girls School podcast. I'm your host, Victoria Barrett, a graduate from an all women's college in Virginia. This podcast aims to highlight the diverse experiences and life journeys of graduates from all women's colleges. Listeners can expect to hear candid conversations about a wide variety of topics. This podcast strives to be in an inclusive space, so some guests may identify themselves as non-binary or trans. I hope you're ready, because class is about to start. Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of the All Girls School podcast, where I sit down with a different guest each week who has attended an all-women's college. I also recently found out that Julia Louis-Dreyfus went to an all-girls Catholic high school, so maybe at some point I will also have guests that went to an all-girls high school. Because why limit yourself, right? Anywho, I'm your host, Victoria Barrett, and a graduate of Mary Baldwin College, class of 2013, when it was still an all-women's college. It's not anymore. I also participated in an all-women's Corps of Cadets program called Virginia Women's Institute for Leadership, VWIL for short, which you'll hear more about in this episode. When I thought about who I wanted to have on the podcast as my first guest, there was absolutely no doubt in my mind it had to be my best friend, Amanda Harrison. She's also a Mary Baldwin alum. She's originally from Richmond, Virginia, and she currently serves as a logistics officer in the United States Army. We met through the VWIL program and have been best friends ever since. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Amanda to the podcast.
Awesome. Hey, Victoria, thank you so much for inviting me. Seriously, you said a lot of great things, and I truly do appreciate that. It feels good to know, you've got your stuff established and your podcast kicking off, and I'm your first guest.
Yeah, there's literally no one else I would want to kick this off with. Like, it was a no-brainer.
Bring tears to my eyes.
It had to be greatness and excellence, which
Exactly.
the listeners will find out where that came from.
There's no other way.
Are you nervous at all?
I am. I've never been invited to speak on a podcast. So this is very interesting, but I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to support, and most importantly, I'm happy to share my experience. So I'm excited to see where we take this conversation.
I'm excited too. I'm also nervous. I've never been on a podcast, and so the first time I've ever been on one is as a host. So no pressure.
No pressure at all.
But also, like, not only is this your first podcast, my first podcast, but how does it feel to be on a podcast that already has a little bit of controversy?
I wouldn't have it no other way. You know me.
You already know the background of the controversy to which I speak, but I'll give the listeners some background. So the name of this podcast is All Girls School. Inspired by the fact that I went to an all-women's college, and most of the guests are going to be people who attended an all-women's college, whether they identify as female, non-binary, or even trans. So naturally, I wanted to promote the fact that this podcast was coming out, and there's a Facebook group. I won't say the actual name of the Facebook group, but it's a group that's dedicated to alum of women's colleges. So I thought it would be like a perfect place to, promote the podcast, just be like, hey, I'm creating this, I'm excited about it. If you want to listen to it, feel free to listen once it, kicks off. Also, if you're interested on being on it, this was an opportunity for me to kind of network with other women who from other colleges besides Mary Baldwin to be on the podcast. And it took a few weeks for the post to get approved. So I honestly forgot about it. And then one morning I just woke up and there were several notifications that day. And I'm going through and I was just genuinely surprised. Obviously, there's some good feedback in there, people that were excited. But there were also some who, at first the questions seemed innocent, like, oh, what's it about? And like, are you going to be interviewing, guests from all women's colleges or like all girls high schools? And I was like, oh, like all women's colleges, because I went to an all women's college.
Right.
But the name all girls school, I feel like it's fun. Like to me, it's a fun name. It gets your attention. It's marketable. It sticks out, especially for those who all women's colleges might not be on their radar, who never really heard of any all women's colleges. So it kind of sticks out. One of my favorite podcasts is called Girls Gotta Eat. So like, it's just fun. It gets your attention. So I was like very shocked when like later in the comments, they were like, that's my pet peeve. Like it's used in like a derogatory manner. It can be infantilizing. Like they were going in like pretty hard on the comments. Like you saw them because I know I shared it with you and Tesla, one of our other friends. And so like, yeah, the comments weren't nice.
It was very disappointing to see, actually. For those of us that know you personally, Victoria, obviously when I first saw the caption, I automatically thought fun, friendly, or just going to be cool. I never once took offense to it because I know the type of person you are, what you represent, and what you stand for. So what stuck out me the most were the women, on that page that weren't even willing to give it a try. Even when you explained the intent behind the podcast, people just blew it off because of the name. And that's I think that shocked me the most, if I'm being honest with you. A name, it's something that's not derogatory. It's just something. It says all girls podcast, and people were genuinely upset. So I wish there was a little bit more support from them. At least give it a try. But there weren't.
Yeah. I kind of want to talk about this ad campaign for Always that I sent you the video to. And it kind of ties into like the name of the podcast and like some of the controversies surrounding it. I get like all women's college is emphasizing that we're adult women, we're strong, we're powerful, and that the word girl has been used by men in like a derogatory way. And,
absolutely.
Saying all girls school can be used by men in a derogatory way. So I understand that happens. And, we've been in the Army, like we like work in an environment where we're surrounded mostly by men. So absolutely. we're used to like having, that derogatory mindset every now and then. And encountering that. But I think it's up to us to know that like we're powerful and reclaim the word. And like girls can be powerful, they can be smart, they can be fun. And in that campaign, that ad campaign, I highly recommend watching it on YouTube. If you haven't, if you're listening to this, highly recommend you watch the ad on YouTube. So it starts out where they bring different people in, both men and women, who are a little bit older, like 20s, 30s, and they ask them to run like a girl, fight like a girl, things like that. And of course, the way that they do those things is based on like a stereotype that girls are weak and aren't athletic and things like that. And then they bring in these girls that are like 10 and under, and they ask them the very same question and have them show them how a girl runs, how a girl fights. And like, it was completely different the way that they showed up when they were asked that question. Like they ran as hard as they could. They punched and kicked as hard as they could. Like they truly believed that running like a girl, fighting like a girl, they believed that they were strong. And then like in the captions, it emphasizes, once we hit puberty, that's when our confidence as girls, as women, just goes down because we have all these things within society telling us we're not strong, we're weak. So, but essentially that campaign wants us to rewrite the rules. So like, that doesn't, just because we're a girl doesn't mean we're not strong, we're not smart. Like, so it's trying to reclaim the word girl and what like a girl means. So I think that's also what I want to do with this podcast, is to really highlight all the amazing things that, different alum from different women's colleges are achieving, and showing that girls are strong. Like, it's awesome that we went to an all-girls school. Like, I proudly say I went to an all-girls school. Yes, I can say all women's college too, but I say both. Like, to me, it doesn't matter. So I'm proud regardless. And so I hope that this podcast can show that, we're reclaiming it. And I think there's so many examples in just like culture now where we are trying to reclaim it. Like, like Girl Boss and
Girl Dad.
Girl Dad. Beyonce, she said girls run the world.
Exactly.
Haley Kiyoko is one of my favorite artists. She's the same age as me. She has a song that says "Summer's for the girls." Like, it's a fun term. Like, we have girls' nights. Like, it's okay. Shania Twain uses girl and woman in her song. So she says, "Let's go, girls," and then she says, "Man, I feel like a woman." So we can use both.
Yeah.
Like, it's interchangeable. Like, it's up to us to like hold that power for the word, for that word, and reclaim it. So yeah,
it's a mindset, Victoria. It's absolutely a mindset. You said it earlier. I said it earlier. Honestly, I think sometimes people just want to find something to be mad. That this is clearly a fun times for you, a fun podcast where you're going to discuss a variety of issues and topics. So I'm glad you brought this up, for everyone to know and hear your reasoning behind the girls being named, podcast being named Girls.
Yeah. But I hope that if the people who, made those comments do end up listening, I hope that, this opens up their mind a little bit. And if it doesn't, then they don't have to listen to the podcast. Maybe this podcast isn't for them, and that's okay. Like, they don't have to listen. But I also hope that there are people out there who do listen and enjoy and continue to listen, and hopefully they can relate or feel inspired by some of the conversations and the people that we have on the podcast.
Absolutely. Well said.
All right. Well, enough about the controversy. We'll move on. We want to hear about you. And by we, I mean me and the listeners want to hear about you. Can you give a little bit of background information about yourself for those who are listening and don't know you? Obviously, I know we said that you're from Richmond, but what was growing up in Richmond like? What was life like for you before college?
Wow. Again, Amanda Harrison, born and raised in Richmond, Virginia. I went to Richmond Community High School. In high school, luckily I did have great teachers. I had great friends, who basically, assisted me, along the way, basically motivated me, to want to be successful. At that point, I think it was about sophomore year of high school was when I realized, I wanted to go to college. Be the first person in my family to attend college, where I didn't know at that time, obviously. But definitely I will credit, those that surrounded me in my earlier stages, such as my family, my friends, mentors, that has helped me, while growing up in Richmond.
Did you have any teachers that like stood out to you that you can remember that kind
Oh,
of helped you down your path?
yes. I had several teachers, Miss Gray, Miss Stewart, I had Mr. Hardy, Miss Martin, Wag was my history teacher. I said several teachers, honestly, I would say all of them. All of them pushed me, all of them motivated me to just be a better student and a better person. So definitely shout out to Richmond Community High School for the motivation, the pressure to apply to these colleges and universities. You don't know what you're going to receive unless you apply. So I definitely thank them for the education that I received and just the will to go forward.
What was the search for colleges like for you? So when you were going through looking at schools, what were
Mhm.
you interested in or what were you looking for?
Wow, and that's a throwback there. I think at that time, you know what, Victoria? I just wanted to go to school, if I'm being honest with you. I didn't have a particular degree in mind. I guess at that point, I wanted to figure out the college and then I'll figure out the degree later. Until one point, one day, I think Mary Baldwin did some sort of either we visited them or they visited us. Somehow I saw Mary Baldwin. I saw the ROTC program, Be Well, that you mentioned earlier. They spoke about Be Well. And then next thing I know, I was doing a tour up in Stanton, Virginia. My family took me up there and, I just automatically fell in love with the campus. I fell in love with the ROTC program. And then I applied that same day, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you apply anywhere else?
Oh, I did. I applied to William and Mary. I was waitlisted.
Me
University of
too.
Richmond. I was waitlisted. DCU. I applied to ODU, and I wanted to go to gosh, several other colleges, basically in the Virginia area. Growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. So obviously, I knew personally if I was going to go to college, it had to be local or within the Virginia area. So I applied to I think the majority of not Richmond, the majority of Virginia colleges and universities.
Mhm. And you said the ROTC program was what attracted you to it. Like, when did you know that the military was something that you were interested in pursuing?
Well, luckily, BWIL offered a military and a civilian side to the ROTC program. So just because you join the ROTC program, it doesn't mean you're going to actually join the military. Actually, that was how I sold my family on the program. I told them that I was not going to join the military and that I was just doing it, just for the structure, and that I was going to remain on the civilian side and just, you gain that leadership experience. Long story short, I believe January and February time frame came. Just being around you guys were so motivating. You guys were so fit. Everyone were, you knew what you wanted to be and do in life in general. And I'll be honest, I didn't. I was still stuck in between, going to the army or should I just, try to become, I don't know, a doctor or something of nature. And ultimately, Victoria, I don't know how, one day in April, I decided to enlist. Enlist in the army. I've been just speaking to some of my friends, daughter buddies, and the recruiters up at the school. And it happened to be the best day of my life.
Awesome. So, for those who don't know, she's talking about she enlisted at the end, towards the end of our freshman year.
Yes.
Um, and being a freshman, well, honestly, just like being at Mary Baldwin is in itself is an all women's college, but the program that Amanda's talking about um, is called the Virginia Women's Institute for Leadership,
Right.
and it is an all female Corps of Cadets program. So similar to like Virginia Military Institute, the Corps of Cadets at Virginia Tech, Texas A&M, Citadel, but ours was created in response to a Supreme Court case where VMI didn't want to go co-ed. And so their solution to not going co-ed was creating our program. the Virginia Women's Institute for Leadership, because Mary Baldwin College is only like a 30-minute drive away from VMI. So creating like an all-female Corps of Cadets, but doing the ROTC classes through VMI, commissioning through VMI. So that's how our program was originated and created. But, eventually they still lost the Supreme Court case, and it was like, if you want to remain public and get this funding, you have to go co-ed. That being said, our program still survived, and even thrived,
Right.
I would say. So our experience is even more niche and unique is a way to word it. Because not only were we at an all-women's college, but within that college, we were in an even more niche program where, it was maybe 100, it varied anywhere between 100 to 125 cadets. We always started off with a high number.
Okay.
But our class, had a reputation for just dropping like flies. I don't know how many we started out with. Do you know how many we started out with?
Oh, man. We filled 2 floors, I believe, in the dorm. It was quite at least 40 of us, a minimum of 40.
Yeah. So our class, we're the class of 2013. And so we're called, when you're a freshman, you're called a null. So lowercase n, capital ULL. So really it's like a military style program. So you start at the bottom and you have to earn your way up. So there's silly things that to people who haven't gone through it or haven't been in a military program, all of these things you have to do sound silly. And in hindsight, they kind of are. But, they're meant to teach discipline, things like that, bring our class together, make us unite as a class. And it worked.
It did. It did big time.
So it absolutely works. We get into fights. We argue. But we come together and it forges these friendships that last forever.
The bond you build as a freshman, because we did go through so much freshman year, that bond to me will last forever. I still talk to a lot of them on Facebook and Instagram today, and it's like we never left. PT was just at my promotion ceremony. I'm just so thankful for them. I'm thankful for their relationship that we doing all year at B-World. So that definitely.
Like we said, our core definitely is about kind of starting from the bottom and then progressing, working your way up. For you, I feel like you had a glow up consistently throughout your time in V-World to where maybe Null year, I think if you were to ask upperclassmen where, where's Noel Harrison going to end up, or what is she going to be doing her senior year? They might, have guessed wrong, and they would have probably guessed absolutely wrong.
Most likely, yeah.
So, why do you think they underestimated you, and what do you think helped you? I don't even feel like transform is the right word, because I think you always had, you've always been a good leader, but I feel like they just stereotyped you.
I definitely feel like I was automatically judged, and me being fresh out of Richmond, fresh out of high school at that time, I just fed on with their energy. So, it's easy for me to sit here and just try to blame them or certain individuals that may have stereotyped me. But yeah, I probably could have done a better job to implement myself within the program, or just, try to prove to others that, I can do stuff. I can be a leader. I'm a good no, but I didn't. Instead, I basically proved them right at that time, and I had fun doing it.
Yeah.
That was my mindset, what and I but definitely judged automatically, and I think as being a kid at that time, I just went with that, perception of me, so.
I love that. You're like, I could have, changed their minds, but I didn't.
I did.
No. You're like, I just leaned in. You're just
Why
having
not?
fun. Like it's your
I did.
freshman year. Like
Right.
that's the least responsibility you're ever gonna have in the core.
Absolutely.
So why not? Unlike me, who I just like am a perfectionist and I take
Yeah.
things way too seriously, like literally took it way too seriously from day one. Um,
That's why you're a superstar, Victoria. That's why you was a superstar,
for a little bit, I guess. But yeah, so I think personality wise, when people meet us, they're probably very surprised
Right.
that we are best friends. Even freshman year, it's kind of the story of how we became friends is kind of funny. And actually, the person who like indirectly brought us together is going to be on this podcast.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that'll be fun. I can talk to her about that and how she's ultimately kind of responsible for bringing greatness and excellence together.
What how she feel about that?
I mean, she should be proud.
Should be, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be proud.
Surprises.
But anywho, I had the Army RTC scholarship that I applied for in high school because I wasn't about to pay for college. Like I didn't want all that debt. So that's the main reason I applied for the scholarship. Always been athletic, stuff like that. But so, and then kind of like what you were saying, like once we were in the program, like that competitiveness, like that desire to get better kind of like took over. And, I didn't really run that much before having, joining VWill and
Right.
doing all of that. And I knew I wanted to get better. And so I looked up and down all around the Corps of Cadets and I was like, who is like the fastest? Who's like the top, cadet when it comes to physical fitness? And lo and behold, like honestly, there was an obvious answer. And as much as it pains me to give her all this credit, Sarah McFarlane was that answer. She was a sophomore. She also had red hair, so I thought that was cool. I was like, Ginger's got to stick together. So I remember asking her, and she's like not the most approachable, especially like as a sophomore, because sophomores are like directly responsible for training us as freshmen. So they're kind of hard asses to us. And then her personality in particular is just like a hard ass. So I remember going up to her and asking her if like she could, start running with me so that I could get better. And like, I wanted to max like the APFT. Like that was my goal. And she was like, yeah, can you like try and find any other sister Knowles like who might be interested in going too? And I was like, yeah, sure. But like Sarah, it's so weird calling her Sarah. Because we in our core we usually call them by last name, so I'm used to calling her McFarlane.
Still do.
Yeah, I know. It's like it just depends on my mood. Sarah McFarlane, whatever, tomato. And so she has this reputation. She's fast, like she's a strong runner. But honestly, I think she's faster now than she was then. Like
Exactly.
But so I go back to our dorm and I'm just asking everyone. I'm like, I'm trying to get better at running. And, McFarland asked me like if I could get other Sister Knowles who want to do it too. And pretty much not only was it a no from
no
like
one's doing that.
everyone, it was like a hell no. Like
no one doing that.
Yeah. It was like, there ain't no way. And then I remember asking you and you were like, I'll do it. Like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like, really? Like, you were the only other person like crazy enough to do it.
Yes. Crazy is the right word.
And so, yeah, so we started running together with McFarland. And yeah, like it just fell into place. Like, we're like yin and yang. Like, our personalities are different, but we just mesh well together. And, we play off of each other very well.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't have it any other way, Victoria.
Yeah.
You know, the good times we had in college, as you stated, no one knew, or when they did see us together, who would have thought Victoria and Amanda are besties?
I know. I still can like envision their faces of
Yeah.
like, really? Barrett and Harrison? Like, that's weird.
Yeah,
You know
it
who
was
comes
very
to
interesting.
mind? I don't know why, but Sharmika
Oh,
comes to mind.
oh my gosh.
Like, I just picture her face being like, how did y'all become friends?
Oh my goodness. Oh man.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah. But, that, like, us working out with McFarland, I think really took us to like another level. Like, not only like physically, but we also, we got good grades, like all around, like we were well rounded, right? And so that leads us to, honestly, I don't even remember like the exact story of how it came about, but can you let the people know what our nickname was? And I can't remember.
Absolutely.
Did we come up with it freshman or sophomore year?
You know what, Victoria? Knowing us, probably freshman year. I don't know how or when exactly we decided on it, but I am greatness and Victoria's excellence. And always when we're together, we're perfection. It was so arrogant, right? You would think. But I don't know what we were doing in college. Most likely goofing around. We may have saw a commercial or heard some words somewhere, and we just ran with it ever since. Literally just ran with that name, those nicknames of greatness and excellence. And it just took off, and surprisingly, people started supporting it.
While they rolled their eyes, they definitely started supporting it.
Right. A lot of eye rolls.
We got a lot of eye rolls. I want to say we might have came up with it like at the end of freshman year, but it really didn't catch on, I feel like, until sophomore year, because both of us were squad leaders in 4th platoon, Pirates.
4th platoon, let's go.
And we were probably had like, not to sound cocky, but we performed well on our PT test. We had good grades. So we had those little academic stars.
Oh man,
that we got to wear on our uniforms. And we were, just a couple of big fish in a small pond.
And again, not to sound arrogant to anyone that's listening, honestly, it was just pure fun. Have someone, just as I call it motivation, instead of arrogance. But it was good to have someone just motivated as you to just do better, be the best. Again, it goes back to my story from the beginning. Me seeing others around me doing well, that motivated me since high school, coming to college. Noah Harrison was terrible, right? No one wanted to be my mentor, et cetera, et cetera. So, after a while, I played into it, but after a while, obviously anyone would start feeling the stuff on the way. So definitely running with you and Sarah, helped my confidence. When I went to basic training, freshman year of college definitely helped my confidence. And you're right, Victoria. I think sophomore year, everything just took off.
Yeah.
I began running cross country. Did you join freshman
Yeah.
year? Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, sophomore year.
that did not help. That did not help.
That might have been it.
The
Yeah.
cross country, we definitely
Yeah.
got faster. We're getting stronger. My grades were looking much better. That freshman
Mhm.
year was not it. So everything started to come together,
Yeah.
and man, good time.
Yeah. That's such a good point of like it's like so important who you surround yourself with. And I mean, even the core itself, everyone who's joining VWIL is there because they do want that discipline. Like
Yeah.
they want to develop themselves as leaders, whether it's like the military side or the civilian side. Like we all have goals that we're striving towards and we want to get
Yeah.
better. And then there was like just this natural competitiveness
Mhm.
that we wanted to get better. And so
Yeah.
we got better together. Like we
Yes.
grew together. So like with our personalities, like you have always been more charismatic and outgoing. And I have always been a little more reserved and observant. But I think we like taught each other how to embrace
Balance. Yep.
yeah, how to balance those. So I think our friendship helped me come out of my shell a lot and show a lot more of my personality and be more confident and
Exactly.
just like I guess have a little bit of swag is like the best way I can put it into words like
Yeah. And likewise, Victoria, you've taught me, sometimes, what is the saying? Everything doesn't require a reaction, or especially a
Mhm.
big reaction, and I definitely learned that from you, because we all know I can react, when in doubt. However, that wasn't the person I wanted to be. That's not the person I am or who I wanted to become. So you definitely being around you helped me just change my mindset, change my behavior overall. So that balance was definitely needed. And I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason. And here we are.
Yeah. And I think you also helped me like just loosen up because
Oh yeah. Oh
I
boy.
think yeah, freshman year I was like way too serious, like by the book. Not that like there's anything wrong with that, but like
Right.
at the end of the day, you have to like enjoy your college experience.
Yeah. Enjoy life.
Yeah. You
Yes.
gotta have fun.
And we did. Bears, once I got you to come around, we had that's a great
We did. Oh man, that's another story.
I'm not a bad influence though, everyone. Just want to
No.
put that out. It was college fun.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
silly
I feel
fun.
like our fun, like at Mary Baldwin and like in VWIL, is probably pretty tame compared to like
Oh yeah.
what other people think fun is.
Absolutely.
In college.
It's probably
Yeah.
considered lame fun or whatever they want
Yeah.
to call it. But
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, we had a lot of silly rules like curfew, and if you got in too much
What's
trouble,
that?
you could be on like confinement, where like
Right.
you're not supposed to go anywhere besides your class or the library, things like that. So like our idea of like being rebellious and like breaking curfew probably sounds so lame
Right.
to other people.
Right.
I don't know what. I do remember when I had my truck, we thought it was so fun as a null class to just like pile into my truck and we would randomly like we would drive it on the track.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
on
we
the
did.
Baldwin track. But before you get all upset, listeners, the track was asphalt. So it's not
yeah.
like it's not like it was some expensive, like really nice track. It was asphalt. So yeah, like that's the kind of stuff we did. At like midnight, 1 a.m, Waffle House.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Starbucks days, we're supposed to be studying and we're just getting traps.
I know. Yeah, I mean, pulling all-nighters for, like, no reason.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Good times. Good times in Murder Ball. And seriously, the amount of rules, I remember speaking to Sarah. You know what? She targeted me. I remember I was on confinement, right? But I wanted a slushie from 7-Eleven. So I went, I snuck out and went to 7-Eleven. Um, and long story short, one of my sister Knowles called me to tell me, hey, the upperclassman is on the hall. So, but we told them you were in the library. And lo and behold, they go to the library to check. And I wasn't there. And I'm like, who goes to the library and check? You're supposed to just look on my note card and that's what I meant. And then you guys go back to your dorm. But no, they definitely checked. Needless to say, I was doing more penalty tours on the weekend.
Yeah. Sarah, missed her calling as a detective. Because I probably have a similar story that I could tell. But I won't.
Another controversial podcast.
Yeah. The death of my reputation. That's what I like to call it.
So stay tuned, listeners. That's
Yeah.
a good one. And for those of you that don't know, penalty tours basically on the weekends, I believe from 8 to 12 or something like that, 8 to 11, you have to take these rifles and you have to be in uniform and you have to hold them up, in your forearm, and you have to march up and down this little sidewalk. It's a path, and you literally march up and down, conducting military-facing movements until your time is up. Max time, I think it was 3 or 4 hours. I'm not sure, but oh man, yeah, I collected a lot of penalty boards. So
Yeah. I think it's 3 hours.
3, okay.
Yeah. So, yep, I remember. And then once you get older, like in the Corps, you have to actually be in charge of them and make sure that people are marching them for those 3 hours. So, yeah, it's, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But hey, it builds character. So
it makes you not want to do it again. And then you turn around and do it again.
Yeah, I was going to say, but then you do it again.
It builds character for the next year, the following year, It's like, oh, I'm mature now. So.
It's like when you say you're not going to drink again, and then you drink again.
Perfect example. Yes.
Yeah.
Great example. So
it's like, dang, I got penalty tours again.
Right. Again.
But anywho, I'm trying to think if there's any other V-Will questions or do you have any favorite memories from V-Will? Regardless of what year it was, or were there any opportunities that V-Will gave you that you're just very thankful for?
Thank you for bringing that up. Actually, shout out to V-Will. Other than the penalty tours and marching in the great parades like the St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York, the Lexington Parade, phenomenal. I am truly grateful for the opportunity V-Will gave me. Yes, I started off a little rough freshman year, but I grew from that. I learned from that, and I became a better leader year after year after year. And ultimately, that helped my military career. I had no intentions of joining the military, but with V-Will's support, the leadership from General Bissell, Colonel Patrick, Miss Parker, I had a phenomenal 4 years, and I wouldn't do it any other way. I would keep everything the same. I've learned from my mistakes. I'm thankful for the Corps cadets, the young women that helped me, motivated me. They were my allies, my motivators. And I'm thankful for you guys. Very, very grateful. So whenever people ask, what school did you go to, et cetera, et cetera? Yes, I can say I commissioned from VMI, and shout out to VMI, but I always say Murder Ball College V-Will, because that's where it started. That's where, Major Harrison began. But that is where I gained my confidence to be the leader I am today. So I'm very grateful for the leadership that was instilled in me.
If given the chance to go to a bigger co-ed school, would you go back and change it?
Absolutely not, because I don't know where I'd be right now. Again, I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. I am here today where I am because of Mary Baldwin College, Be Well. My intent wasn't to join the Army. I just wanted to join the program because I like the uniforms. I like what they did. I like the overall, message behind Be Well. And that's what I came to Mary Baldwin for. So if I went to BCU or any of those other colleges, I honestly don't know where I'd be in my life right now. I don't know if me and you have ever met, or if
Mhm.
I, just we'll be in this position. I'm living in Missouri right now. Who would have thought? So no, I wouldn't change anything. Shout out to Mary Baldwin. Shout out to small schools. If anyone's listening, just remember it's not about where you go, it's about where you decide to with your time at that university or college, whether it's a big one, a small one, or a community college. You make the decisions for your life at the necessarily the school.
Yeah. And then it's also like taking advantage of the different programs that
Absolutely.
the college has, like find your people.
Yes.
Like like it's okay to like seek out and try different things when
Absolutely.
you're in college. Like it's really the best place for like discovering who you are, what your strengths are, like what you're interested in, like what you want to do in your life and what you want to show the world,
Yep. Mary Baldwin did that, Barrett.
Mhm.
For me and you and I, right, becoming best friends. Again, who would have thought? Me hiking. High school, I didn't know what. But just hiking, the food I ate, the different cuisines I tried, the places I've gone, the opportunities at Mary Baldwin just helped me become not only a better leader, but a better person. So
Mhm.
definitely take the opportunity to grow and just go outside the box. Problem is, we don't want to go outside our box. And,
Mhm.
uh, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Um Speaking of hiking and where you're living, you know, greatness and excellence, we're supposed to be taking some trips, you know.
Yeah. Yes.
We like to travel together. We've
Love.
been to many places, but between like you being at HRC, me teaching, like our schedules have not meshed up.
Right.
So,
Last
uh
3 years.
where are we going next? We need to choose a place.
We should. You know what, Victoria? I think I chose the last place. We went to Jamaica. That was my decision. I think you should choose the next one.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
down for Brazil, Rome, London, uh,
Okay.
anywhere.
Hey, I mean, we know I'm a planner, so you tell me that I have free reign, and I'll make it happen, and it's
December
gonna be
block
a good
leave
time. Yeah.
and March spring break. I am ready.
Yep. All right. Well, I will send you a Google Doc soon with, with ideas.
Let's go.
There's this thing that people do at the end of podcasts. It's called plugs. I don't know if you've heard of that, but essentially a plug. This is your opportunity, Amanda, to tell people who are listening, if you have any projects or things that you're doing, or ways to find you on the internet, like Instagram or some other form of social media. So, do you have anything you would like to plug so the people know where to find you?
Absolutely. So, I can be found on social media and via email. So, email is mainly for, those that's looking for mentorship or those that have questions, whether it's army related or personal stuff. Instagram, yes, I am on Instagram as well. Actually, I just created this new page called Amanda _travel. I only have a few posts, but bottom line is I wanted to get creative outside of my personal page, a way to sort of blog all of my travels and the food I've eaten. I love fine dining. So now I've created this space Instagram page to basically show viewers, my friends, family, hey, this is what I do on my personal. And if you would like to follow me, please follow me. Send me some recommendations while I'm in your city. I've been all across the United States. I'm venturing out to the Caribbean. I've been to Spain. This recent, June last month, I've been to Spain. So definitely reach out to me for any questions or even concerns. Maybe I say something you didn't. But I'm always subject to constructive criticism. I can always grow and learn as a person, and I stand by that. So, Victoria, thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope the viewers liked it. It was our first one. The next one, hopefully, is in person when I come down there to run the Army 10 miler. So,
yeah, we're definitely going to have to do a follow-up episode in person. This is, you're just so busy. Like, you're such you're a busy woman. And, the timing just didn't work out between like you finishing up like at HRC and doing your world travels, getting promoted, and then having to go to ILE, which for those who don't like speak Army, that's just like this professional like leadership course that you have to take. It's like a year long once you get promoted to major. So, I mean, she's kind of a big deal.
Stop it.
She's kind of a big deal. She was busy. So, but
never too busy for you.
This was good because I had to eventually learn how to do a podcast on Zoom anyway, because it's inevitable that I'm going to have to do some of these remote. But yes, if you're coming to the Army 10 miler, if any of the listeners are in the DC area, or you're in the Army or the military, or you're a civilian and you like to run the Army 10 miler. Yeah. You can see greatness and excellence.
Let's go.
Feel free to find us. Stop us for a selfie. Unless it's in the middle of the race, don't make us stop. Because once we stop, it's really hard to start back up. So either get that selfie at the beginning of the race or find us at the end. Because once we start, we ain't stopping. If you want to try and take it on the run, that's fine. But it's 10 miles. We're not stopping. We might not be running very fast, but we're not stopping.
Not doing it.
Good. And it's our first Army 10 miler. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you
very first one.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. I'm excited. So if you see us, say hi.
Yes, please.
And we will record an episode. What we'll talk about, I don't know yet. Maybe send some ideas. Do you have questions for us? Feel free to send it in the email that you will hear in the outro of this podcast. So, yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been fun.
Yes.
I was nervous, for sure, but it was nice having you here, my best friend, because, we support each other and yeah. Thanks for listening to the All Girls School podcast. But before class is over, please take a moment to subscribe or leave a review on Apple or Spotify podcasts. If you enjoy video content, head over to our YouTube channel at All Girls School Podcast, where you can watch and listen to each episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at All Girls School Podcast, and you can email us questions, stories, and more at theallgirlsschoolpodcast@gmail.com. That's it for today. Class is dismissed.